Merry New Year! What's going on, everyone? Holy crap. Big episode of Monday Night Raw tonight. WWE Raw Day 1, January 1st, 2024 is in the books. We had a lot going on in this show. No title change, but we did get that big surprise, and it did, in fact, turn out to be The Rock. There is so much to unpack about this episode. I don't even know where to start. I'm still kind of juggling all of the different scenarios now in our heads for Wrestlemania season, because tonight's Rock appearance wasn't him just coming out there and doing a sing-along and going home. He referenced somebody, and he full-blown called out Roman Reigns in so many words, mentioning the head of the table. And now we have to assume that WWE is planning on giving us that match after all. And if it's going to happen at WrestleMania or not, or could it possibly happen somewhere else? And what the fate of Roman Reigns and the championship and The Rock and Cody and Punk and Seth and Priest and Drew and Becky and everybody's path to WrestleMania, what that's going to be like. Man, it's I thought tonight's show was a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm still kind of a little bit discombobulated trying to get up here on time for you guys, but we have a lot to get into tonight. I want to thank you for being here. Happy New Year to you, and welcome to 2024. First stream of the new year. We had a great weekend streaming World's End, doing a review there, and we had some episodes last week. We only missed yesterday, but you've gotten me pretty much every day here for the last 4 or 5 days. And now we are back onto WWE chatter, and tonight's Raw I thought was really fun. It was really good. We saw a few subtle changes, and they are starting to set the table for what is going to be our WrestleMania season. But that Rock news really throws kind of a monkey wrench in what the plans could be. And you have to wonder if WWE kind of already knows what they're going to do now that Rock has come in and said the things that he said tonight. WWE Raw was right here in San Diego, 20 minutes down the road from me. Unfortunately, I did not go. Holiday, big night at work last night. Me and Elizabeth didn't even know what we were going to be doing today. I was supposed to have a family dinner, but then Elizabeth got sick and all of that. So it just wasn't really in the cards for us to go to the show tonight. But I kind of wish I would have been there, because it was a sold-out packed house there at Pachanga, and the crowd was hot for all of it. I mean, virtually all of it. We had a couple of scary moments there. We want to wish the best to Vinci as well, who got injured, and they had to stop a match tonight. But the women's matches I thought were really good. The singles matches were really good. The Cody stuff was good. Everything was just good tonight, I think, on Monday Night Raw. So let me know what you guys thought of the show in the chat here. Give me your letter grades, A, B, C, or D, 1 through 10. Are you excited now for WrestleMania season with this Rock news coming in? Does this make you excited? Does this make you nervous? Does this make you pessimistic, optimistic? I think WWE is hitting on all cylinders right now. They are white hot. They are crushing it. I don't think they're going to bring The Rock in to fuck up all of their plans. Triple H doesn't seem like the type of guy to drastically alter his plans the way Vince did. So I think, however, The Rock is going to be worked in to WWE's creative plans with Roman Reigns. I think they're going to do it as best as they can in terms of kind of keeping everybody happy and not deviating too far from their already, working plans for WrestleMania. So the Rock stuff is very, very interesting, and we're going to have a lot to say about that tonight. Let me kind of get my bearings straight here. Let me just cruise to the chat, say hello to everybody who's in here. Please ask you guys to smash that thumbs up button, and please subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, would love your subscription. We just passed 40,000. Next goal is 50,000 subscribers on the channel, so I could use your help there. I would appreciate it. And all the new subscribers that came in during World's End weekend, welcome. Welcome to your Raw review. This is the first one, maybe for some of you, so I'm glad everyone is here. We have a lot to talk about. But first, let's go to the chat and say hello to my friends. Let's try to hit some channel members first, like Zach Palgett. And oh, by the way, Happy New Year to everybody. I know a lot of you are wishing me Happy New Year in the chat. Thank you so much for that. Happy New Year to you as well. It's 2024, and I just cannot believe if you were born in 2003, you can drink. How crazy is that? The years are just going by here. I'm going to blink, and I'm going to be 80 years old. But good to see Zach in the house. Also, Divine Ricks, good to see you, my friend. Hey, Greg, so I'm thinking maybe at the Rumble, Roman drops the title to Orton, and then at WrestleMania, it'll be Orton versus Cody for the title and Rock versus Roman. That is not a bad idea. I mean, Cody could technically finish his story against Randy Orton. They do have a lot of history. I still want Roman and Cody, just based on what we saw last year at the end of WrestleMania. I feel like Cody needs to get that monkey off his back, but maybe they can find a way for him to finish his story against another guy that he has a ton of history with Randy Orton. Orton could beat Roman at the Rumble for the title. Then it's Cody and Roman for the championship at WrestleMania, putting Rock and Roman in a WrestleMania match without a title on the line, because many fans would argue that feud and match doesn't need a title, and I kind of tend to agree. I don't care if it has a title. I don't think like the only way to do it is without a title, but it does make sense that it wouldn't need a championship. So that could be one way to do it. That would give Roman a victory at WrestleMania and perhaps put Roman and Cody on a collision course for SummerSlam. Only Cody is the champion defending against Roman. That could all work. We're going to discuss all these scenarios here in just a minute, but that's a pretty good idea. Divine, and thank you for the $2. Happy New Year's, Greg and friends. Also, George Morris is in with 5. Hey, Greg, Happy New Year. How are you doing? And how is Tito? How about this Sunday Royal Rumble 95, 96, 97, 98? Watch along. Michigan wins Strudel. I say hi. We got to figure out which Rumble to do this Sunday. I will figure that out tonight. I like those suggestions. We did 96. I think we did all those. We might not have done 98. Or 95. They both suck. But I will look at what we've done and what Rumbles are still out there, and I will nail down one for us this Sunday. George, always happy to see you. And yes, Tito is around here somewhere doing well as always. Say hello to Strudel for me. Tatanani, good to see you. Red Raven Rucker, Ben Espinoza, Jay Lambo, the Juliet, Victor Colon, Deshaun Robinson, Nick Musser, Sonic Plays, Stone Cold, Bo Kavlovic, Victor Colon, did I get you? JJ Leg and Spaz Phoenix and Isaac. Ton of channel members in here right now. Good to see you guys. Thank you for the $5. Spaz, okay, hear me out. Night 1, Roman versus Rock versus LA Knight. Night 2, Seth versus Cody versus Punk. Too much triple threat, man. I mean, I understand it's WrestleMania 40 and WWE does have a habit of doing triple threats at their big, decade anniversaries and stuff. But Roman and Rock needs to be on one-on-one. LA Knight has no place in that match at all, in my mind. I mean, he does have history with Roman Reigns. He still wants a piece of Roman Reigns. A lot of people compare him to The Rock, but that head of the table line by The Rock tonight was all of the evidence we need that that's going to be one-on-one, because that's just as important as a world championship to that family, who actually sits at the head of the table, which is why Roman not being champion for that match would make a lot of sense, because the winner is going to be the head of the family. And if Roman is going to win that, you could argue he should also be champion. So I'm fine with that. But I feel like Roman and Rock needs to be one-on-one. And based on kind of the heat with Seth and Punk, I kind of want that to be one-on-one too. But Seth versus Cody versus Punk would sure as hell be an interesting triple threat. I ain't going to lie there. Good to see Jordan Karg as well. We've got Shell Shock, Toro Hill, Decimania. We got Patty J in the house. Also, Ruben Anthony, another channel member. Good to see you. We have Joseph Boza. Reese Jones, another channel member. Missed you again. Shell Shock, FLI. We have Sex Machine, Mr. J. We have Big J, Gay Gamer Gooner. The new one, Denny Down Bad. Jacob, the Zombie Fighter. Good to see you. Nick Steele. Miss FRGN, good to see you as well. Always happy to see you in here. And anybody else chiming in, Brian Rodriguez earlier, Happy New Year, have fun, and always stay safe. Please have a very happy New Year's Eve. Same to you, Brian. Okay, so I just wanted to get some of those hellos out of the way before we get going here. And let me give this a refresh so I can be all set and set. All right, we are good to go. So we are going to review tonight's Raw. We're going to try to go in order here, but there is going to be a lot to unpack in terms of The Rock and what we saw from The Rock tonight, what he said in his promo, and what that means now for WrestleMania. Because we just saw Rock a few weeks ago, and he came in and he didn't really do a whole lot. Every time he's made appearances in the last few years, it's just to come in and, humiliate a shitty heel and then leave. Tonight, he actually planted seeds for him to do something. And it wasn't like Vegas seeds like him and Triple H planted a couple of years ago when we thought we might get that match again. This was a direct reference to Roman Reigns himself. And I don't know why they would do that if they weren't going to do the match. We've also heard The Rock comment on this before. He did, he was doing some of those college game days, a few months ago or a couple months ago, whatever that was, where he did talk about a working plan was in place to do Rock and Roman in LA last year, but things fell apart and, he's still holding out hope that they could do that. With Vince gone and Triple H Triple H now in charge of creative, I wasn't sure how high on Triple H's priority list it would be to get Rock and Roman Reigns. Obviously, he would want to do the match, but would he want to do the match at the expense of the Cody plans? And that's kind of where we're at now and what we have to think about in terms of The Rock. What are they going to do? And what do you guys think is the best avenue for a Rock and Roman Reigns match? Now, One of the things I mentioned today on social media, because Fightful Select dropped a report in the afternoon about tonight's potential surprise. By the way, I was way off. I thought it was going to be Batista, and I thought Batista was maybe going to be announced for the Hall of Fame and, you know, and that type of thing. I didn't even have The Rock on my radar, really. I don't even know why we didn't think about him, because we talked about everybody else. We talked about Brock and Cena and Big E and everybody else we could possibly think of. And for some reason, we never really mentioned The Rock. But The Rock made a lot of sense. And then today, of course, was the Rose Bowl, Alabama and Michigan. Congrats to Michigan. Huge fucking win for them. My God, overtime right down to the last play of the game. But Rock was in Pasadena for that, which isn't that far from here in San Diego. And he was photographed earlier on in the day talking to like Lee Corso or something. And in the background, you could see Nick Khan. So that was kind of a red flag right there. Nick flew up there to go pick his ass up and get him down here to the whale's vagina as quickly as possible. Fightful Select mentioned that Nick Khan was there. The Rock wasn't far away. He is the one that is expected to be the big surprise tonight. So once that was kind of, I don't want to say spoiled or leaked, but once that news got out, it really started making me think about The Rock, because there's something about, if he were to return tonight, in my head I was thinking, this doesn't feel like it's going to be the same old Rock appearance. Triple H made a bit, teased it on social media a couple of days ago, and a returning WWE champion. Would he really make that big of a deal about it if Rock was just going to come in, make fun of Jinder, wave to everybody and leave? So once it was kind of believed that The Rock was going to be the surprise tonight, I was like, shit. It's January, man. Would he really come in, if they didn't have plans to use him at WrestleMania or somewhere during WrestleMania season? So once The Rock news kind of broke, it really got a million thoughts at once going in my head, just ricocheting around. So I did my best to kind of put everything in a tweet. And I'm going to read my tweet. I don't usually read my own tweets, but I want to read you what I said here today. And this is before Monday Night Raw went on the air. And I said, The Rock news is flooding my brain with a million thoughts. All I know for sure is I don't want The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Bringing him in to promote the Elimination Chamber in Perth 4 weeks before the Rumble would be really weird timing. But at the same time, you got to take The Rock when you can get him. A Hall of Fame induction would be great, but I kind of feel like Rock isn't the proper headliner this year, if you know what I mean. And what I was saying in the tweet is that WrestleMania is already going to be a super successful show, with or without The Rock. We have that big Elimination Chamber match or Elimination Chamber pay-per-view coming up in Perth in February. And when you think about WWE's perceived plans for Cody Rhodes and what they might want to do at WrestleMania, having The Rock come in now feels like they would throw a monkey wrench in those plans, like I said earlier. And if they're going to do Rock and Roman at Mania, then what does Cody do and how does he finish that story? We mentioned the Randy Orton possibility, but I feel like the next time Roman Reigns is pinned, he needs to be losing the championship. And I thought that Cody should be the guy to do that. Maybe it's Randy Orton instead. But even though I like that idea, I feel like Cody, for his legacy, needs to be the one that ends that streak, because that's another big feather. Not only are you winning the championship, you're ending the longest world title run in modern history. And that's going to be a huge deal. Roman got pinned by Jay last year, but losing in a one-on-one match, losing your championship and being pinned, I feel like that honor belongs to Cody, and it should belong to Cody. Which is why, if I had a vote, I would do Rock and Roman at Elimination Chamber. And I know what everybody's saying. Oh my God, Greg, that's fucking ridiculous. Rock and Roman is a WrestleMania match. I agree, normally. But this year, you already have a beautiful story just waiting for you at WrestleMania. Why fuck that up? Why fuck that up when you can not only have one successful show, but two? Perth is a stadium show. They haven't sold a fuck ton of tickets for that, but having The Rock perhaps return to the ring to face Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber, now you're making another show. Now you're using The Rock to make another show, and he'll be much more a part of the focal point of that show if it's Elimination Chamber instead of a two-night WrestleMania, because would Rock main event night one or main event night two? I don't even know if I want Rock main eventing night two, to be honest, at WrestleMania. Roman versus Rock night two. Well, where the fuck is Cody then? And would it be a triple threat or something? Who knows? So I feel like you could use The Rock's return as a huge way to sell out that Perth show. It's a stadium show. It would feel like a big main event. You couple that with perhaps Cody Rhodes entering the Elimination Chamber match itself and winning it, giving him the title shot at WrestleMania. That's what I would do. I would use Rock for that moment. Instead of WrestleMania, put him in Perth, big international stadium show. The Rock's going to be in the main event, because that will be the main event, Rock versus Roman Reigns, and the title can be on the line. Who fucking cares? I know it's very cool and in to say, oh, that championship doesn't need, or that feud doesn't need the championship. No, it doesn't, but the championship's there. It doesn't mean it's wrong. So, you know, the feud, yes, doesn't need the title, but I don't think not having the title is the only way to do it. You can totally have a title match. No big deal. Rock can challenge Roman for the title at Elimination Chamber to be the true head of the table. Roman then beats The Rock in the main event, retaining his title. And really, you know, what that will do for for Roman is give him that just undeniable confidence to where now if he already doesn't feel untouchable, bulletproof, unbeatable as it is based on everybody he's beat so far, he now beats The Rock. He is the true head of the table in the family. He is going to be beaming with undeniable confidence, which could be a perfect way for Cody to come in and finish his story. When Roman is going to have this attitude of, I'm going to be champion forever. None of you fuckers can beat me. I am the goddamn greatest thing that this business has ever seen. And he's going to go in to WrestleMania, maybe even taking Cody a little bit too lightly, and he's finally going to get caught. You know, pride goeth before a fall. Proverbs, right? So, you know, Roman with the ultimate confidence, and he's so overconfident because after that big win against The Rock, nobody can stop him, right? And then Cody, that same night, wins the Elimination Chamber. He now gets the match versus Roman, and then Cody can still finish his story. The only problem with that is it gives Rock a match at Elimination Chamber, but not WrestleMania. How is The Rock going to come in for WrestleMania season and not be at WrestleMania? So my Elimination Chamber idea, as much as I would prefer it to go that way. I'd prefer just to do Roman and Rock at Chamber. Roman beats him, then drops the title the following month to Cody. If I had a vote, I'm not saying that's the best way to do it, the right way to do it, none of that. I'm just saying that's how I would prefer it done as a fan. I would prefer a scenario like that over Rock and Roman wrestling at WrestleMania, because I just really feel like that goofs up the plans. And I hope that Triple H is a little smarter than that, you know, and isn't just, oh, let's just abandon everything. We've got The Rock, so we have to make him top priority. Rock wants to work a match now, so it's put everything else on hold and let's bring in The Rock. Are they going to do that? I wouldn't. As much as I love The Rock, he's a fucking legend, but he's like 52 years old. So, you know, just completely abandoning everybody that's been there working so hard, kicking ass. WWE is white hot, selling out, doing great business without The Rock. So why is everybody going to take a back seat to him if he comes in? You know, I don't know if that's something you would want to do. It's the same argument I made for CM Punk. Is he really going to come in and take a WrestleMania payday away from somebody else? Well, yeah, apparently he is. But fans are happy to have him there. He seems happy. WWE's happy with him. He's going to sell tickets. That's going to be a big night one main event, assuming it's going to be Punk and Rollins as we expect. And I don't know. I just don't want Rock to be a part of that. If Rock could still come in the following month and do something else at WrestleMania, maybe he could even go into the Hall of Fame or something, you know, but I feel like that would be a lot happening in a short amount of time, and Rock should just save his Hall of Fame induction for another year. So we'll have to see how this progresses. You know, is Rock going to be on SmackDown now? Is he going to make a couple of more appearances, or is he going to be gone until the Royal Rumble and then he'll turn back up? Because Roman has got to contend with Randy Orton. So I feel like tonight Rock came out just to drop that little bomb. Then he's going to disappear. Roman's going to work his feud with Randy Orton. And then when that's over, that's when The Rock, you know, shows up and confronts him and maybe sets up Elimination Chamber. Or perhaps WrestleMania if they wait beyond Chamber. But then what does Roman Reigns do at the Elimination Chamber? If he beats Randy Orton and he retains the title and those two don't continue their program, because it's possible they could work again. It's possible they could work Chamber in a rematch from the Royal Rumble. I doubt it, but they could. So if Roman just beats Randy Orton and that's all done, what does Roman do at the Chamber? Who does he wrestle? Maybe a rematch with LA Knight? And then what does Randy Orton do going into WrestleMania? If Orton loses to Roman at the Rumble, and then their issue is done, who's Randy going to feud with going into WrestleMania? Maybe it could be him and LA Knight or him and AJ or something. I don't know. But that something like that could be likely. But I'm just wondering like what everybody's going to do now with The Rock there. And I wish I could just be in Triple H's head. I want to know what the fuck he's planning. And I want to know what Rock is going to do, where he's going to wrestle and how, and if it's going to be for the title and how it's going to affect Cody Rhodes. And I don't know. It just, what do you guys think? Would you prefer Cody or Roman Reigns beating The Rock at WrestleMania? Or I keep saying that. Cody Rhodes or The Rock beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? I'd prefer Cody. So there's just a lot to kind of speculate on and a lot of different paths they could take. But I'm kind of like half nervous. I just feel like WWE's just been crushing it. And I don't want to see them creatively fuck up their own shit for The Rock. I just hope that they have it organized. They know what they're going to do. They've talked about it with The Rock. It sounds like a lot of planning goes into whatever they're going to do with The Rock. So I'm sure Rock isn't just agreeing to come in, oh, I'll work a match with Roman and then we'll figure out the details later. No, they know the details. I just want to know what those details are, and I want to know what they are going to do and when these matches are going to happen. So that's kind of my overall thought on the situation here with Rock returning tonight on Raw. We're still going to review this show bit by bit. I just thought we would open and talk about the Rock stuff right off the bat because that was the biggest news. JJ Legs got 5 for us. Have Rock cost Roman the title at the Royal Rumble. Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania. Cody wins the title at WrestleMania, loses it to Roman at SummerSlam. Finish the trilogy at 41 with Cody winning. That's one way to do it. That is one way to do it. I also think about, Roman taking that pin, Roman losing that title. I don't want to, Roman's been champion for so long. I don't want WWE to feel like they're in a situation where they got to get the title off of Roman. Oh, we got to get the title off him real quick. Don't get the title off him real quick. Make his title loss a big deal. Don't hotshot it or do it because, Roman and Rock doesn't need the title. I still want Roman's loss to be a very big deal. I want, when he loses the title, I just feel like Randy Orton, with his career and all of his accolades and his resume and his Hall of Fame legacy that he's created for himself, is this something that he really needs? I think about Brock Lesnar ending the streak. A lot of people said, was he the right guy to end the streak? I thought it was awesome. But, Randy Orton ending Roman's run, I don't know. I just think Cody would be better. Cody is WWE's, kind of John Cena. And I think he needs to be the one to do it. So I don't know how you juggle all of this. If Rock's coming in, they're going to do Roman and Rock at Mania. Okay, then you don't want it for the title, so you got to beat Roman early. But then, you maybe take away the big significance of him losing the title if you do it. Not that if he lost it at Rumble, it would be bad. I'm sure it would be awesome if Randy Orton beat Roman for the title. But I feel like it would be more awesome if it was just Cody in the main event, and Cody had to, after possibly losing the Royal Rumble finals to CM Punk, if they're the last two in the ring, and then him trying to find a way into WrestleMania and to finish his story. And that's when he strikes some sort of a deal to get in the Elimination Chamber, and he wins it and goes on to face Roman. That's kind of how I want it to be laid out. But now with The Rock, you just have to wonder, what they're going to do. And I think if you're WWE, if Rock really wants to give back, I think the best way to do it is at the Elimination Chamber, because now it makes that show huge. I mean, absolutely massive, that show. If The Rock is going to return to the ring for the first time in 11 years, and he's going to wrestle Roman Reigns for the true family head of the table, the title is also going to be on the line. And then Rock does the ultimate honors there. Stadium International Show, main event, huge deal, puts his cousin over, anoints him as the true head of the table, and then Roman has that massive victory, and he's riding high. He's on cloud 9, all the confidence in the world, bulletproof, unbeatable, untouchable. I have no equal. And then realizes he's got to face Cody again, but kind of blows him off. He's like, man, I've already beat Brock 3 times. I just beat my cousin. I beat you last year. I fear no man. Bring it, bitch. And then Cody puts him down. And that's just, that would be the best way in my mind to do it. And I would prefer that. I would prefer that over getting the title off of Roman early. Like we've been mentioning with Randy Orton possibly winning. That would be fine. I'm sure they'd make a way to make it cool, make it good. But I would just prefer Roman to lose his title to Cody at WrestleMania. And if you want to do the Rock match, and if you want to basically have your cake and eat it too, I think the Rock and Roman match needs to happen at Chamber. That's the best place for it in my mind. But then again, when you look at what the Rock and Roman Reigns looks like on the marquee, how do you not have that match at WrestleMania? So I understand that argument as well. I'm all over the place with this. I'm really worried if you can't fucking tell, because I really like Cody and I want to see his story finished. And I don't know what the fuck's going to happen now. But anyway, we need to start actually reviewing Monday Night Raw tonight. Before we do, let me knock out two more quick supers. One from the Juliet. Appreciate the $5. Rock, Roman at EC. If Cena's not available, the solo Rock at WrestleMania 40. Cody and Roman as scheduled. Solo and Rock. Well, I mean, is Rock going to lose to Roman and then beat Solo? I mean, what does that even accomplish if he did that? But it accomplishes one thing that I questioned earlier, and that is if Rock were hypothetically going to face Roman at Elimination Chamber in Australia and then loses to him, does that mean he doesn't even appear at WrestleMania? I guess. But man, if he's working wrestling matches and being involved in wrestling angles that close to the biggest show, how do you not have Rock be a part of WrestleMania 40? Maybe he comes in to host it or something, or I don't know, or has some sort of other presence on the show. But I don't think you would need Rock to have another match after he loses to Roman. I think that should be his final match. I don't think The Rock should ever step foot in the ring again after he loses to Roman. That's my opinion, because it's been 11 years since he's been in the ring. I mean, he's 52. I mean, what's he going to do? Come in and have a run? Come on. I feel like he needs to come back for one final match and do the ultimate job, passing not only a torch to a fellow peer, but a family member, somebody that's going to continue that tradition of the great Samoan wrestlers that have been in WWE for decades now. And I think it would be awesome if it just went down in Australia. That would be sweet. That would be sweet. Or Saudi Arabia, but I feel like Australia would be really, really awesome. The new one, appreciate the $2. Rock versus Orton has to happen at some point. That's true. We never really did get Rock versus Randy Orton. Well, we kind of did. They technically have a WrestleMania match against each other. It's just, the one-on-one thing never really happened, although they have mixed it up a couple of times. Deshaun, appreciate 5 from you. Rock versus Roman likely happening at Chamber, but what if they planting the seed for SummerSlam this year, the biggest match of the summer? That's a long seed, man. That plant's going to be a full-blown tree by the time we get to SummerSlam. They're planting it on January 1st in the middle of dead of winter, and now you got to get to SummerSlam. I feel like it's going to be Chamber or Mania, but SummerSlam, I feel like, is guaranteed to have some mega matches based on where we're sitting right now and what we can kind of envision the future might be in the next few months. There's no way SummerSlam can't just be a tremendous looking card. So that could happen, but I feel like Chamber, I'm glad that Chamber is on everybody's radar. I'm glad that that's not being full blown rejected, because I think that would be the best use of The Rock. Just think about it. WrestleMania is going to do insane business. It's going to sell out. It's going to be fucking nuts with or without The Rock. If The Rock is not at WrestleMania, the day after WrestleMania, Sean Ross Sapp is going to tweet out that it's the most successful or highest grossing WWE event in history without The Rock even there. So WrestleMania is already a bona fide success before it has even happened. Why not double your money? Put The Rock in Perth. Make that a huge fucking deal. It'll be nice to get a international show that feels like a WrestleMania that's not Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? So I'm doing it at the Chamber. Before we review tonight's Raw, by the way, we have other wrestling news to get into. Yes, that is true. Big news dropped today before the Rock return. This was regarding Mercedes Mone. Fightful Select had a report on this that basically says she is expected to sign with AEW and could be debuting anytime, maybe even as early as this Wednesday. Now, Mercedes was kind of off the radar for a while, and then it was kind of rumored that she might be heading back to WWE. Then we learned that the two sides were in talks, and I think WWE leaked out that talks broke down because they probably expected her to turn up somewhere, maybe even World's End, and they wanted to leak it because they're fucking petty. That's the way they do things. They've always been that way. So once we learned that contract negotiations had kind of broken off, then that reopened the door to AEW. And what I love about this and what's so great about having two wrestling promotions is how all over the place I've been with this. Just a year ago, I was kind of thinking she was going to return to WWE at that Boston Survivor Series, and then she didn't, and then she went to Japan, and then it felt like she was a shoo-in to go to AEW, 100%, probably going to work a match at Forbidden Door, and boom, she got hurt. And then she kind of disappeared again. We didn't hear a whole lot about her, and then my stance changed from firmly believing she would show up in AEW to kind of being 50-50 on it. Then she showed up at All In. Okay, good, she's back. And then again, everything went quiet and went cold. And then rumors started running that she might actually return to WWE. The storyline with Bayley, kind of lends evidence to that. Plus, WrestleMania season is coming up, the Royal Rumble. She could get a huge deal, ton of exposure, WrestleMania match, WrestleMania payday, the works. And then we learned that negotiations had stopped between the two, and apparently they were far apart on money. And she has an asking price, and whatever her asking price was, I guess, just too high for WWE. It's not a matter of them, I don't think, affording Mercedes or Sasha Banks. It's not a matter of them affording her. They're getting $1 billion from, for TV rights. They can afford it. It's just a matter of maybe the precedent you want to set, and do you want to pay her whatever? And now she's going to be the highest paid woman in the company for sure, because apparently her asking price was higher than Charlotte and probably making more than most of the men as well. And maybe they just felt like that's just too much. It's just too much to justify. So she's still very young. Sasha has a big wrestling career ahead of her still. I do not think WWE and Sasha Banks are done doing business together. I think they will do business again. But Sasha or Mercedes could probably get more money out of Tony Khan, and she's going to be thrust right into the title situation immediately there. And now it appears that AEW, in fact, will be the landing place for Mercedes Moné, and we should see her turning up there any day. She also filed some trademarks last week, more Mercedes Moné related stuff, indicating that she's going to be sticking with that gimmick and not going back to Sasha Banks. So there was some evidence here and some signs pointing to that, but now it does seem apparent she will be signing and showing up in AEW, and that's a pretty big get for them. Mercedes coming in, Will Ospreay. They've been able to nab some good people. Jay White recently being signed as well. So that's a big get for them, and that women's division is getting better. It's a lot more enjoyable to watch. Toni Storm is just a fantastic champion, putting her hat and sunglasses on Tony Khan, calling out Wendy Richter. She is the best. Julia Hart is over like Rover, and they're doing better. They're doing better. Mercedes is only going to add to that. So expect Mercedes in AEW. I think it would be awesome if she turned up in AEW on Wednesday on Dynamite. That would be great. We did not see Andrade tonight. Andrade did finish up with AEW at World's End. He's expected to show back up at WWE at any time. There were rumors he could show up tonight on Raw. He did not. However, about an hour before the show, Zelina Vega tweeted, "I know a secret." There you go. We will see Andrade on Friday, or maybe tomorrow at New Year's Evil. I wouldn't rule that out either. Because I think the LWO has a presence on that show, right? And Zelina could be there. And oh man, those two reuniting, Zelina and Andrade. And if when Andrade turns back up, is he going to be just Andrade again? Or is he going to be Andrade Cien Almas? Or is he going to be Andrade El Idolo? I think he'll probably just be Andrade again. But with Vince gone, he seemed to be the one that was really behind the name changes and shit. So maybe they resurrect his old name or let him continue to use El Idolo. I don't know what they're going to do when he gets there, but I feel like tomorrow or Friday is when we will see Andrade turn back up. Kevin Dunn, we learned this the night of World's End as well. Kevin Dunn has given his notice to WWE. However, I have not seen any date on when he's going to be finishing up. So I guess he was still there tonight. But he will be finally leaving. I'm assuming they have a successor in place for him. I know one guy that was going to probably assume that role was Mike Mansory. He's now working in AEW, as one of their lead producers. He was the one that fired Kevin Sullivan a couple of weeks ago. Not that Kevin Sullivan. So Kevin Dunn's going to be leaving. I don't know if they already had a successor in place for him or if this is going to be a training a new guy type of thing at the last minute and Dunn's going to hang around for 2 months, I don't know. But in terms of, WWE's production style and stuff, I think it's going to remain largely the same. I think a lot of the crazy, over-the-top, dizzying, nauseating, puke-inducing camera cuts and zooms might be scaled back a little bit, but maybe not. It's probably just going to be Kevin Dunn's vision going forward, and I don't know if we're going to really notice a whole lot of differences with WWE's production. But Kevin Dunn, he's not well liked. He's been shit on universally by anybody that's ever talked about him. He's had a job with the company for, I guess, 40 plus years, dating all the way back from when his dad was there rescuing tapes out of a burning car and shit. He's been there forever. He's been a huge part of WWE's production for 4 decades, for as long as I've been fucking alive. And that's nuts. So best of luck, Kevin Dunn, but I thought we should at least mention his departure as well. Also, we saw Elias reappear on social media today. He had a nice little vignette produced. It's good to see all these wrestlers going out there and marketing themselves after their contracts are up and they're free agents and whatnot. He did a whole, little bit on the Elias gimmick. Looks like his name will be Elijah now. So just a small little change there, but largely the same thing, kind of the same hairstyle. He had the tank top, he had the guitar. Elijah is going to be Elias going forward, and we should start seeing him turn up in the indies or TV at any point. I think he'll get signed. And Sean Spears, I think, is also a free agent. He tweeted out day 1 today with a big picture of an X kind of logo. So we will see if he will, in fact, be the number 10 entrant in this year's Royal Rumble, bringing back that great theme he used to have, maybe the pop collar, all that shit. We'll see if we get Todd Dillinger back in WWE anytime soon. And I think there's a couple of other free agents that were officially ready to rock and roll as of today. So best of luck to all of them. Hopefully we will start seeing some fresh faces turn up all over the place. And also, unfortunately, Dragon Lee is going to be missing New Year's Evil tomorrow. I guess he has some issues and he's stuck in Mexico. So that's a shame. He's off the card. Not sure who's going to be replacing him at this point. Let's now finally, you guys want to get into Raw? I know we've been talking for nearly an hour here, and I haven't even mentioned the damn show yet. Before we do that, Jordan Karg, thank you for the $2. The Rock also ended CM Punk's title reign in 2013. I was convinced we were going to see CM Punk tonight because it was reported that he was backstage at the show. He was there. He wrestled a couple nights ago in LA at the Kia Forum as well. So he's in SoCal, probably spent New Year's Eve here, and he was backstage tonight. So I thought for a little while that how cool would it be if Punk came out to the ring to cut a promo and was like, hey, I was reading that rumor that Triple H, or I read Triple H's tweet and I'm wondering who it is. And like if The Rock came out, and holy shit, maybe once again we would learn that The Rock's arms are just too short to box with God. That would be so fucking sweet. And also Punk being there, I thought, well, if he didn't come out and be a part of that surprise, then maybe he's just going to show up and cost Seth the title. I kind of thought that might happen as well, but we didn't see CM Punk at all. But apparently he was backstage, and they did announce him and advertise him officially for next week in Portland. So we will see Punk officially. But yeah, it would have been cool to get Rock and Punk back together again. And if Rock is going to be around and he does wind up working WrestleMania, I don't know how you can't get some sort of Punk and Rock interaction on TV before then. I just think you have to do that. Hopefully they will. That would be awesome. Now let's talk about Raw. How cool was the intro? Not the shitty song that they play, but when they came into the arena, you had Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. Apparently the announced teams going forward are going to be 2-man booths, which means Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves are going to be by themselves, I think, on SmackDown. So Michael Cole and Wade Barrett are in the ring, and Michael Cole does his typical welcome to Monday Night Raw, but instead of just talking to us, the audience at home, he's talking to everybody in the arena as well. And him and Wade Barrett start running through the card for the night. And it was just really well done. There was a lot of excitement. The crowd was red hot. And as they're running through the card, they would show the graphic and, the way they're hyping the matches with the music playing. It was, kind of a modern version of what they used to do on Saturday Night's Main Event way back in the day, where they would kind of have previews for all the matches. This was really good because of the energy. It just felt great. I felt like if you're a non-wrestling fan channel surfing and you stopped on that, you would say, wrestling kind of looks like a pretty big deal. There's a whole lot of people there. They're fucking jacked and they're showing, just maybe I should give this wrestling thing a try. I don't know. I just thought it looked really cool, came off really well. And it's the little things like that that really kind of get you hyped up for the show. You know, we had a championship match. We had a couple of championship matches tonight on the card. And the way they kind of started it all off, hyped it all up, I really enjoyed. So I hope they do more of that. And maybe that's going to be a new thing for 2024. We'll see. The first match of the show was a great one. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I've said a couple times over the last few weeks that I am completely baffled how WWE has been doing so well with Nia Jax. I didn't think there was any way to ever make this woman interesting at all. And I wasn't excited at all when she returned, didn't give a shit, didn't really want her to come back. But it was like almost instant. It was like immediately from her return to TV and her first match, they were just using her in a way that made sense and was much more, I don't know. It was much more Nia Jax's, I guess, style or vibe, or how a woman of that size, a wrestler of that size and that power should be booked, should be portrayed, should be presented, kind of thing. It just felt different, like almost instantly, even though not a whole lot changed with her look. Some new music, which I did like, but her look overall didn't really change. But it was just, kind of how she was being presented that seemed like a really big improvement. And I'm like, man, I'm actually okay with how they're using her, where before she was just a channel changer. And now it's like, okay, this is somewhat interesting. And here, her and Becky Lynch opened up the show tonight and had a hell of a match, a hard-hitting, brutal match. I think the best match Nia Jax has ever had in her career ever. I mean that. It was really good. And it was brutal. And they played up a lot on their history from what went down 5 years ago. And Nia Jax was really manhandling Becky a lot, no pun intended. And Becky ended up getting bloody on her face. She must have, caught another potato from Nia and kind of had a busted mouth or something. And the crowd was really into it because Nia Jax was whooping Becky's ass, but Becky was fighting back hard. And there was some crazy kickouts there. I remember the power bomb that Nia hit on Becky, especially got attention from the audience in terms of, holy shit, that was really close. And I'm like, man, this match is really good. And then she's got the big second rope Samoan drop, nails Becky with that one, and another really good near fall. And both of those is kind of what got your "this is awesome" type of chance triggered. And it looked like both women were in a fight. I've never really even seen Nia Jax sweat before. She looked like she was really in the fight of her life, and she's never really looked that way in a match to me before. And I noticed that. And the match was surprisingly good, and I was wondering if Nia Jax might get the win here. She is from San Diego. Got a nice little reaction from the crowd when she was announced from San Diego, even though the majority of the fans are going to be behind Becky Lynch. She had if she was going to have any positive, reaction from an audience anywhere, it's going to be here. So they used that to their advantage, and she wound up beating Becky completely clean. Becky is on the second rope. She jumps off towards Nia, and it was just so well done. The finish was perfectly executed. Becky jumps off the second rope. Nia just pulls back her fist and blasts Becky right in the face with that big punch. This time, she didn't bash her face in, and it looked so good. And Becky went down like a ton of bricks. Nia Jax pulled her over to the corner and hit her with a now and later and pinned Becky Lynch clean in the middle. Wow. Huge win, biggest win, I think, of Nia Jax's career, and kind of a surprising finish, but a good one. I can see why they did this. Becky can afford the loss. And I seem to remember a few years ago, before Becky Lynch main evented WrestleMania 35, she did a big job or two prior to that show, didn't she? She lost to, and I believe tapped out to Asuka at the Royal Rumble. And then she appeared in the Rumble later to win. So, maybe this is the same type of thing happening here. If Becky Lynch is in fact planned to go into WrestleMania to face Rhea Ripley for the title, and she's going to be getting a title match, and she might even win the championship from Rhea Ripley, then what's the harm in using Becky's name to put over a few women in the process? And Nia Jax could use a victory like this. It's going to do nothing to harm Becky, because Becky could very well be the winner of the Royal Rumble. And if she is, she can lose all the matches in the world right now. She's going to get the title shot anyway. So what does it matter? It's a good way to give someone like her a loss when you have an opportunity to. So props to Becky putting over Nia Jax there in a surprising good match, surprising outcome, and one that I actually liked. Listen to that. Listen to Greg say that Nia Jax beats one of the top stars in the company, and I'm happy with it. I love the match, love the finish, thought it was all really well done. And we will see what Becky's plans are now, if she's going to be a Rumble winner or if she's going to be a Chamber winner, or how they get to that Ripley and Becky Lynch match that we're expecting. And if we do get that match at WrestleMania, I kind of think Ripley might beat her. I do, just like Roman beat Cody last year. I think Ripley might continue to run. I know how fans are. If she beats Becky, then you're going to have the fans are just going to, oh my God, it's code written into their DNA. If she beats Becky and retains the title and her run continues, she's holding the title for too long. It's going to happen 100%. But I just wouldn't mind it. I think it would be awesome for Ripley to continue to be dominant. But that's a few months off. We're not even at the Rumble yet, so we will see. But it makes me wonder about WrestleMania and makes me think that Becky Lynch probably is going to be involved in a pretty big match if she's doing jobs here. After that, we got a Cody Rhodes promo. Cody didn't do a whole lot on the show, which kind of bummed me out, but he's continuing his issue with Shinsuke Nakamura. They did advertise this match officially finally for next week in Portland, but tonight it was Cody Rhodes coming out, basically saying that he, is coming after Shinsuke. He wants revenge and all of that. They showed a recap of Shinsuke's Christmas poem or whatever from a couple of weeks ago. And then Nakamura returns to the screen and, more of that, kind of comic book stuff and the subtitles. And he wants to turn Cody's dream to a nightmare. And it does look like, props to Cody, he does seem kind of off balance a bit, like a little bit stressed out. Nakamura's strategy here is clearly working. And I love the way they present Nakamura now. This is all much more interesting to me than anything they've ever done with him in terms of how they're presenting him as a character and how he really does seem to be able to affect his opponents this way. And Cody, it's a nice little mini feud. I like it. It wasn't just one little thing, one incident, one match, and then they're done. This has gone on for a while, kind of like how Rollins and McIntyre have been going on, although they did work the pay-per-view, right? In Saudi Arabia, or Crown Jewel. But I kind of like that this has been a TV feud, and Cody is hopefully probably going to put down Shinsuke Nakamura next week on Raw. And then it's on to the Rumble. We will see. Here's a team that I like. Jey Uso and Kofi Kingston teaming up. Boy, there's some history there. Holy shit. So that's an interesting team. They were teaming up to take on Imperium, Ludwig and Da Vinci. But this match was stopped after a bad landing. Vinci, I think, was coming off the middle rope. Kofi, I think, kicked him square in the jaw, and then he hit the mat, and the back of his head hit the mat, and he was kind of dazed there. I think the referee noticed something, and then the doctor came in the ring, and it was instantly clear that it was legit because the camera work was a dead giveaway. A lot of focus on Jey and Kofi, and nobody showing anything that's going on the ring mat there. The announcers are acknowledging it and addressing it only because they have to. They can't ignore that, okay, the referees are just taking a look at Vinci real quick. And then I guess his bell was rang hard enough for the referee to stop the match. They didn't even get him out of there and have Kaiser finish on his own. They actually stopped the whole match. So Jey Uso and Kofi Kingston got a victory there and a finish that definitely wasn't the planned one. And hopefully everything is all right with Vinci. He might have a concussion after a bump like that. We don't know. But pretty scary landing there. And hopefully he's okay. I haven't seen if there's any any news reports or updates about his condition, but hopefully tomorrow we hear that he is going to be all right. But props to WWE for kind of putting safety first. Back in the day, they might not have done this. They might have just worked the match around him or had him out of the ring, or he might have tried to finish the match with his bell rung like that. They don't play any games now. They don't take any chances like that. And this is just, a mid-card Raw match. If this is the main event of WrestleMania, maybe you're checking them a little more. Can you finish? Can you get in there and take a fucking move and get pinned or whatever? But this is a tag team match in the dead fuck of Raw that has no stakes. What's the difference? They're probably, if Vinci is okay, 100% they're going to run this back next week. 100%. If he's not, then it might be. It might be Gunther. I don't know, taking on Jay and Kofi, and then maybe Gunther, because I think he likes Vinci more. So maybe Gunther is pissed that they took out Vinci, and he's going to team with Ludwig, and he just goes in there and kills both of them by himself. And Ludwig and Gunther beat Jay and Kofi next week, something like that. Then we had a Miz TV segment with the Judgment Day. So the Judgment Day are scheduled to be the guests here. And the first person to come out was the newest member of Judgment Day, R-Truth. And there we have it, folks. The Awesome Truth reunited after, 12 years? When were they doing their thing? Was it like 2011? I think it was. It was like Survivor Series 2011, right? They faced Cena and The Rock. So that was 12 years ago. That was the same amount of time between the screw job and when Brett returned to the company. That's fucking nuts, man. It was a long time ago. So R-Truth comes out, and he's a member of the Judgment Day, and him and Miz are having a good time. Miz asks him what his role is, and Truth says that he has many roles. He has PR work. He has administrative work. It's a never-ending process as a full-blown member of the Judgment Day. JD McDonough and Dominic come out. Dominic, in his own hometown, has got mega heat. And we did see the Mysterios in the front row. I saw Elias and their mom, I thought, in the front row during the intro. Would have been cool if Rhea Ripley went over there and smacked Elias across the face for Buddy. But they didn't get involved in this at all. But Dominic is in his hometown here in San Diego and just has even in his own hometown, he still has the same amount of heat, which is just something you don't come across every day. I'm loving the Dom heat, so they're not letting him talk. They're not letting him breathe. And R-Truth says that JD McDonough isn't even in the Judgment Day because he lost the Loser Leaves Judgment Day match a couple of weeks ago, which apparently was supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, but R-Truth is taking it seriously. And then he tells him to leave the Judgment Day, and then he does this little kick. Does him leave Judgment Day, and then R-Truth kicks his leg out. It was just a random thing, but it made me chuckle. Have you ever seen Napoleon Dynamite? And there's the scene where it just cuts to him in school, and he's got his back up against the lockers, and the big bully just comes up and shoves him as hard as he can. And Napoleon hits the lockers like, ugh, and then he just kicks his leg. It was kind of like that. It was just the little kick popped me. I'd pop all by myself, laugh my ass off right here. Hilarious stuff. So they're having a good time, but you could see what was happening here. As soon as they came out, I'm like, well, shit, tag match. Where's Teddy Long? So as soon as Judgment Day's music hit and you saw that it was only 2 members and not all of them, no Ripley and no Priest. So that was the first time I noticed that there's no Damien. I'm like, where is Damien? They're trying not to mention him, a lot. I'm like, oh, they're going to try to make you forget about him, and then he's going to come out and cash in later. So the fact that there was no Priest there, I'm like, okay, they're just going to talk a little bit more. We're going to get a tag match. That's what we got. Dominic wants a tag match. But R-Truth can't figure out who's on his team. He thinks Dominic wants to team with him, so he thinks him and Dominic are partners. I mean, we might reach a limit of how dumb R-Truth can be because he's hilarious when he gets confused and he does crazy things. But this shouldn't have been that hard to figure out, that he is going to be partners with Truth. But he really believes that he's in the Judgment Day and he's partners with Dom. So Miz tries to explain to Truth that they're partners, but he still is kind of having trouble grasping that. Then we go to the match, and he's trying to tag Dominic and everything. He doesn't know what's going on. And I think that WWE should allow R-Truth to take outside bookings, and he can show up other places thinking he's at Raw. I've already pitched a working agreement with AEW and WWE to trade R-Truth and Danhausen for 1 week. I pitched that like a year ago. Like, just 1 week, have Danhausen hiding under a WWE ring and have R-Truth pop out of a trash can or something backstage at AEW, and then have them both go back to the respective companies the following week and never mention it again. It would be so hilarious if they did something like that. It would be a good way to kind of bring the fans together too. You know what I mean? So I've already pitched that. But R-Truth should start really having fun and showing up at go to All Japan or something, since apparently they're going to be working together. So the babyfaces, Truth and Miz, got the win here. I'm sorry. Yeah, Truth and Miz got the win when Miz hit a skull crusher finale to little JD McDonough for the win. After that, we had our reminder that as good as WWE can be, as white hot as they are right now, and how they are just fucking killing it on so many levels, they can still be cringe AF, because holy shit, this stupid ass club segment, I barely paid attention to it, but you had Caden and the other one. They're there. They're the tag team champions now. And they're like in the club, right? And they're just like on the dance floor or something. They have their championship belts with them. So they went out clubbing with their titles, because that's totally what people do. And then Piper Niven and Chelsea Green show up, and there's a little exchange, and it's, oh my God. You know, it's just how, like, when women talk smack to each other, it's just like, so those mannerisms are just like, God damn, it's so horrible. So they're trying to talk shit. Chelsea, of course, is spectacular in everything she does. So she was the one shining star of this. But the whole thing is like, what do they do? What is this? And I guess it was just a way to set up the tag team title rematch that's going to happen next week in Portland. But my God, what a stupid way to do it. And if Caden and the other one are going out clubbing, why are they taking their belts with them? I guess we could do that. I could do that. I'm going to go out to a club with my championship belt, and I'm going to see how many honeys I can pick up. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good strategy or not. But the whole thing was just like, I don't know why who this appeals to. I guess there's some segment of the audience that it appeals to and liked it, I guess, but I don't know why. It was just god awful. But it was also kind of funny. And I'll give WWE a pass, because there's a lot of other things that are doing really, really well right now. So if they have to hand me a really stupid, cheesy, dumbass fucking segment, fine. I can handle it. So we're going to get the tag team title match next week, but that was god awful. Then it is time for the women's championship. The, what is this thing even called? The World Women's Championship. And the other one's the WWE. I forgot what they're even named. Ripley's belt is on the line next against Ivy Nile. And I liked this. This was a first. I like that Ivy Nile got the title shot here. This is Triple H kind of, trying out some other women here. And he likes these bulldog, strong-ass women. And Ivy Nile has been super impressive. And this was going to be a big test for her. And I thought she did great. This is a really good match. And she looked good, despite being overmatched here by Ripley. Because as strong as Ivy is, she's still very small. So Ripley, still was able to kind of overpower her a lot. But I thought she really held her own. She looked good, and you can see how she's going to have some potential after this. And in the end, it was Ripley winning with the Riptide, but really good outing for Ivy Nile. If this was WWE's look at her, how she can, perform with main eventers, I think she passed the test. It's a pretty good match there. Then it was surprise time. We know what happened there. By the way, if you guys haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, I would appreciate it. It was now time for our surprise. Now, during Ripley and Ivy Nile, it was about 20 minutes till the top of the hour. So I said to myself, well, if Rollins and McIntyre are main eventing, like it was announced at the beginning of the show, that means the surprise is going to be happening right after this match, because you're always going to want that happening at the top of the hour for the ratings purposes and whatnot. You're not going to have The Rock coming back at 23 minutes after the hour. It's going to be right at the top. So WWE, of course, they announced on social media and they hyped it up throughout the show that there is a big surprise. A former WWE champion is going to be returning. Triple H teased negotiations earlier on in the week. I don't want to spoil anything or get anybody's hopes up, but a major returning legend. So that got everybody talking. Is it Brock? Is it Big E? Is it John Cena? Is it Bob Backlund? It could be anybody, who knows. I thought it would be Batista. They'd bring him in for the Hall of Fame and whatnot. And then earlier on in the day, it was reported and leaked that it was likely going to be The Rock. He was up in Pasadena for the Rose Bowl. He was photographed with Nick Khan. So people started putting everything together that it would probably be The Rock. And this time, The Rock would not be coming back to just do a sing-along and leave. He is revealing that he has a match coming up, and that's crazy. But before he came out, they tried to troll you. Nice try, WWE. I didn't buy it for one fucking second. But they announce, I guess it's the ring announcer. Is it Samantha? Is she the one that says, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WWE champion surprise," or whatever she said? And then Jinder Mahal's music hit. Oh, Triple H, who you fooling? As soon as that happened, I laughed. I wasn't worried. I wasn't like, oh, this is bullshit. I popped because I knew, one, trillion% that it was not going to be Jinder. And I think we could all see, or should I say smell what was about to happen. So I'm like, okay, clearly Jinder's going to come out. He's going to talk shit to everybody. Rock's going to come out, smack him around, and then that's going to be it. That's what I thought. So I thought it was cool that WWE tried to troll you there. I don't think anybody, even the most gullible of fan, thought that Jinder was the actual surprise. I think most fans in the audience there were just waiting for his bullshit to end so we could hear The Rock's music. And that's pretty much what happened. Jinder Mahal shit on America. Ooh. He said the national anthem in Punjab, and then fans booed, and he goes, "You just booed your own national anthem." I'm like, dude, I don't fucking care. That's not a burn to me. So he's just going on this nonsense. So I'm like, all right, wrap this up. Where's The Rock? Where's The Rock? Finally, the music hits. My God. Ridiculous pop. I mean, The Rock always gets a ridiculous pop, but this one just felt especially loud, and Jinder was really wearing out his welcome in there anyway, so the fans were very happy to see The Rock. Then he gets in the ring, and of course, it's the typical Rock stuff. He starts insulting Jinder Mahal, and he goes, if you were one of my movies, you would be Baywatch. And then Jinder says, well, I never saw Baywatch. And then Rock says, are you telling me you never saw Baywatch? It doesn't matter if you never saw Baywatch. So that happens. The crowd loves it. Rock gets the crowd to chant day one douchebag. And then he's like, okay, we're going to have the right side of the arena say day one, and the left say douchebag, day one douchebag. And he gets that chant going. And it lasts for a while, like longer than I expected. He also tries to sing to Jinder. I think that might have came before the chant. He sings like a Christmas song to Jinder, but Rock, nothing is ever going to beat Biatch, you look horrible tonight, so don't even try. So he sings to Jinder. He gets the typical Rock burns in, nothing too special there. And then Jinder gets mad and attacks The Rock, and of course The Rock turns the tables, spine buster, people's elbow. Jinder retreats. Rock gets on the mic to say what we thought might just be, if you smell, and good night and happy new year and goodbye. But he adds a little something. He says, since I am here in San Diego, I'm going to go out tonight and I'm hungry. And I'm like, okay. I thought he was going to tell us all to go meet him someplace down at the gas lamp or something. So he's like, The Rock is hungry. He's going to go out to eat. But when he goes out to eat, should he sit at the bar? And I'm like, oh God. Should he get takeout? Or whatever he said. And you knew what was coming. I'm like, oh God. Once he said, should I sit at the bar? Oh, he goes, should I sit in a booth? That's what he said. He goes, should The Rock sit in a booth? Should he sit at the bar? Or should he sit at the head of the table? And I'm like, oh shit. Oh shit. There it is. There it is. They wouldn't say that if the match wasn't going to happen. So as soon as The Rock said that, that means we are getting Roman Reigns versus The Rock. It is happening. If WWE is going to tease us and troll us again with The Rock by teasing a match we don't get, I don't see how that benefits them at all. I think Rock saying that is a direct implication that a Rock versus Roman Reigns match is now planned creatively in WWE. They probably know when it's going to happen, where, and what the circumstances are. I don't think Rock and WWE strikes this deal with each other and then decides to just fly by the seat of their pants for the rest of it. They know what they're going to do here. They have their plans in place. What are those plans? That's what I want to know. If you joined us at the beginning of the podcast here, I spent the first 35 minutes rambling my balls off, trying to think of every different possible scenario of what they could do with The Rock and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania, or perhaps for the Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia. So that's what we talked about earlier. I'm not going to rehash all of that, but just to make a long story short, if I had my vote, I would prefer if The Rock and Roman Reigns happened in Australia rather than WrestleMania, because it sounds like The Rock coming in was a deal that was probably worked out recently, which means, all of their plans that they've been doing all year, Cody and finishing his story, Rock coming in now could really disrupt all of that. if you were to do it at WrestleMania. But there is one way for The Rock to come in. And like I said earlier, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have Rock in a big time match against Roman Reigns while also not messing up your Cody story. And the way you do that is have Rock face Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber, which is a big stadium show that can main event, which will sell a fuck ton more tickets, because I don't think tickets are, they're selling pretty well for Elimination Chamber, but they're not like breaking any records. So that's really going to add a lot to it. They could really pack this thing out. That could be an epic match. And since WrestleMania is going to be already a hugely successful show with or without The Rock, why not use The Rock to make another show and double your fucking money? And that's what I would prefer. That way, you can have the match, because a lot of fans also say, oh, this match doesn't need the title. Well, yeah, but if Roman has the title, I don't want to like hotshot the title off of him for that reason. You know what I mean? So just have Roman be the champion. It's no big deal, especially if Roman wins. Who fucking cares? So Roman defends the title against The Rock at the Elimination Chamber. Not only is the title on the line, but the head of the table, the head of the family, the king, the whatever it's called, the tribal king or whatever, tribal chief, that is going to be Roman's ultimate crowning. And once he has that victory, he's going to have every accolade imaginable, like I said earlier. And he's going to be beaming with undeniable confidence. I've beaten everybody. I've beaten every legend, beaten Brock, beaten Rock. I've beaten all you motherfuckers. I'm bulletproof. I'm untouchable. I have no equal. There's nobody in this company that can touch me, you know, and he's going to have all of that confidence, and it's going to be the perfect time for it all to crumble around him. Just when he hits his peak and he's got every single trophy and accolade imaginable, Cody beats him at WrestleMania, finishes his story, humbles Roman Reigns, maybe even kind of turning him babyface. After that, Roman Reigns realizes how obnoxious he was, and he let his confidence, he let his arrogance get the best of him, and it cost him his championship. And maybe he kind of rediscovers himself or something after that. Who knows? But I feel like that would be a way to work Rock into all of this without screwing up your Cody storyline, because I still think Cody and Roman on night 2 and Punk and Rollins on night 1 would be huge for WrestleMania. So that's kind of the way I would prefer it. But what if WWE is having this match at WrestleMania? What if they feel like Roman and Rock can only be at WrestleMania? I don't like the idea of Roman and Rock in night 1 and then Roman faces Cody on night 2. I don't really love that, but that might be one of the only ways to really get it all done. There's also the option of having Roman Reigns drop the title to Randy Orton at the Royal Rumble, which now means Cody could just face Randy Orton for the championship and finish his story with Randy, a man who he does have a lot of history with, and then Roman could face Rock and the title doesn't have to be on the line. That's another way to do it. One issue I have with that is when Roman loses the title, I just feel like that's Cody's pin, you know? I mean, Randy's awesome. I like Randy Orton, but does he need that accolade? Does he need to be the one to end Roman's run? Because it's not like just winning a regular championship. Not only are you winning a championship, but you're also ending the longest title run we're going to see in modern history. It's probably going to be 20 years or so until we see something like this again, I would assume. So I feel like that's a big, big, big victory. And I feel like if Cody is your future, you should want that victory for Cody. So that's why I'm not sure about the Randy Orton title win, is because then you've beaten Roman already. And then, you know, also that kind of makes the match with Rock a little bit less significant, I think, if Roman's already taken a loss going into that. But then, you know, he would beat The Rock and get right back on track and then, you know, maybe challenge for the championship after the fact. I don't know. But when you start talking about this stuff, you see how many different ways there is to do it. And I'm curious. I want to know what WWE's going to do and when this match is going to happen. Fuck, maybe. Oh, shit. I was going to say maybe they do it at the Rumble, but I don't think so. That's going to be Randy Orton. But wherever they do it, I just don't want it to be shoehorned into creative to where it does damage to something great that you have, because I feel like a lot of fans are still feeling, there's a big portion of the audience that feels like Cody should have won last year at WrestleMania. And if he somehow gets the rug pulled out from under him again, and for somebody like The Rock, you know, you think about WrestleMania 40, that show should end. That show should climax with one of your top stars or a top star. And I think Cody, the legacy they're trying to make for him in the company, I can't think of a better guy to close out the show with the championship at WrestleMania 40 than Cody Rhodes, just like Brett did at WrestleMania 10, just like Benoit did at 20, and just like Danielson did at 30. And I feel like a situation like that is what I would prefer as a wrestling fan, not The Rock and Roman last, and then Roman wins, and then we got Roman celebrating again after beating The Rock on night 2. That does not sound good to me at all. Maybe it sounds good to some of you, but it just doesn't sound good to me. I just would prefer not to see that. So I'm fine with Rock and Roman happening. I'm curious how it's going to go. I'm interested to see Rock back in the ring at whatever age he is now, and if this match can even be any good. But I think for WrestleMania, those matches need to be top notch, and I think Cody and Roman would be just a more fun story. And I think Rock and Roman would be fun to do, provided it doesn't screw up that story. And that's why I feel like Elimination Chamber is really the only option here. I can't, because if it is WrestleMania, because I guess that's what we're looking at here. It's either Chamber or Mania, right? Probably not the Rumble, because that story's already in place. So if it's Chamber or Mania, those are our scenarios. So we know how Chamber could work. That fits beautifully. That fits into the equation without disrupting anything. But Roman and Rock at Mania makes you have to do a whole lot of things differently. Number one, taking the title off Roman, perhaps even right now. And then if you don't, you're in a situation where Roman's going to retain again. And now he could be looking at that Hulk Hogan record of about 4 years that will be up and around like the summertime. And I don't think fans want to see that. I think that's going to really be the tipping point for the fans. Triple H survived last year. There's a lot of fans still mad about Cody, but you can make it right. You do this shit again, and we close out one more WrestleMania with Roman Reigns holding up championships and Pyro going off behind him. I think you're going to alienate a big part of your audience. So I would not do that. I would have Cody do his story. I think that's what the fans want. I think that's what the wrestling world needs. And that's what I would do. I'm warning you, WWE, don't mess your shit up. You can have your cake and eat it too. You just have to do this match at the Chamber. It can't be WrestleMania. So hopefully Chamber is where this thing is going to wind up being. And I really feel like that's the only option. You fuck too much stuff up doing it at WrestleMania. What do y'all think? I know I've been doing a lot of talking about that, but sound off there as we get to the next match, which was a quick one, a little buffer here. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark defeated Natalya and Tegan. Zoe pinned Tegan in that match, but during that match, I was getting my thumbnail ready for the stream here after all that Rock stuff went down, so I really wasn't paying attention. But one person I was paying attention to is somebody who I've been mentioning a lot lately. This is my weekly mention of how good Natalya looks. My God, I cannot believe I like her gear. I like her whole overall vibe now. She's just really just improved her look. I just think she's awesome. So they took an L here, but Natty's done a great job of just really whatever she's done. Her body transformation has just been unreal. So awesome to see them. Unfortunately, they lost, and Shayna and Starks is a pretty badass tag team. I'd like to see them actually win the tag titles. If Chelsea and Piper don't win them back, I would love to see Shayna and Zoe Stark roll up into the club when Caden and the other one are there and mess them up good on that dance floor. That would be hilarious. Now it is time for the main event. Seth Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre in a match that I really thought a title change was possible. I thought Damian Priest cashing in was very likely. It felt like it could happen. We didn't see Priest all night. They kind of were almost like trying to make you forget about him or something, He didn't come out with Dominic and JD earlier. He didn't come out with Rhea Ripley for her match. There was no backstage stuff with any of them. So you didn't see Priest, but you knew he was there. Also, it was reported that CM Punk was in the building, but WWE on TV was trying to play it off like he wasn't there. They announced him for next week and said that he's going to be on the show next week. So I thought that might just be another kind of red herring, and then he's going to do a run through the crowd thing during Rollins and McIntyre and maybe cost Rollins the match or attack him after the match that allows Damian Priest to come in and cash in, and then you got Punk and Rollins in their feud that now doesn't have to be for a title either, and you can have Priest be the champion. So I thought all of that was really likely. They made a big deal about this title match. First show of the year, main event, packed house, red hot crowd. If you're ever going to do a TV title change, this would be a pretty good opportunity to do it. So I thought that it was likely, but I felt like if Rollins survived here, then I think he makes it all the way to Mania. So that's what happened. They were also showing recaps of what happened to Sami Zayn a couple of weeks ago when he got taken out, and we got word that he had asked for time off and it was granted, and that's why they ran that angle. But he did return over the weekend for the holiday shows and got his head busted up a little bit. So I was thinking that Sami could have a presence, Damian Priest could have a presence, and CM Punk could have a presence, if he came in and attacked, like I said. So the match is pretty good. It's what you can expect from Rollins and McIntyre. They were kicking the shit out of each other, and it was just as good as their last couple of encounters have been. But to me, it was all about the finish. So I was kind of eyeballing the clock, and I'm seeing 4 minutes left till the top of the hour. Unless WWE has an overrun tonight, they got to wrap up business real quick. And then, sure enough, we hear Damian Priest's music hit. He comes out with Dominic, and he's got the briefcase, and he goes over to the timekeeper, and you think this is going to be it to cash in, but McIntyre is on the outside of the ring. And before Priest gets there, by the way, he bashes Rollins in the head with the briefcase, who kind of leans through the middle rope, hits him in the face. Rollins goes down. Then Priest takes the briefcase over to the referee and the timekeeper, and that's when McIntyre comes in and hits him with a Claymore. I think he hits one on Dom too. He takes them both out, and then he gets in the ring, hits a Claymore to Seth in a perfectly executed spot. Seth lands. McIntyre pins him 1-2, and Rollins has a foot on the rope in a crazy near fall. Crowd gasp. I actually thought it was over. I thought that was going to be it, because I was like, well, shit, Priest could still cash in after this. I felt like Rollins was actually going to lose the title there. They had me fooled. Rollins got his foot on the ropes, and that's when I knew he was going to retain then. McIntyre cannot believe it. And instead of just grabbing an already destroyed Rollins and just picking him up and powerbombing his back into shit and pinning him, McIntyre gets mad, and he goes to the outside of the ring and he starts tearing apart the announce table like he's going to do damage to Seth. I'm like, the match is still in progress. You can still win this. What are you losing your temper for? So he starts tearing the table apart. Rollins comes out there. They start fighting. Rollins hits a pedigree on McIntyre on the table, and then gets McIntyre in the ring, stomp for the win, and Rollins retains. I still thought, because Priest was out there laying down, selling the Claymore, I thought Priest could still get up and cash in. And I was watching the clock. I'm like, if WWE has an overrun, if we get into 8:01 my time, if we get 1 minute past the hour here and there's still stuff happening, I think we might see a Priest cash in, but we didn't. We got the little, trademark, and they signed off, and that was the end. So no championship change here, which was good for me because I didn't have to change my thumbnail. I had the Rock all set up, but I'm like, fuck, if Priest cashes in the title, I'm going to have to change that. So luckily I didn't create extra work for myself tonight. But all in all, I thought it was a really fun Raw because we got a lot of information. We got a lot of good matches. We got a lot of firsts. Championships were on the line. Crowd was hot. Crowd was packed. Bummed I didn't go to the show, but it really looked like it was a fun time. And I think WWE's off to a great start here in 2024. Just a couple of hiccups during, the show. All the best to Vinci. Hopefully he is okay with getting his bell rung. And WWE, whatever you do, please do not ever do one of those nightclub segments again with your women's tag team champions. Greg would be very appreciative if you would just never do that to me. Like ever. Thanks. What do you guys want to talk about in the chat before I get out of here tonight? I'm going to scroll up and make sure I didn't miss any supers or whatnot. See what you guys are having to say about what I had to say. Maybe some of you are staunchly disagreeing with what I had to say about The Rock. I agree, Joseph. Shayna and Zoe definitely a step closer. Feels like that's going to be the direction they're going to go with them. And I think they're pretty badass. They can be like a women's Steiner Brothers or something. So hell yeah. I'm all for that. I'm really pleased to see that the Elimination Chamber thing seems to be a common opinion out here, and nobody is just assuming this is going to be a WrestleMania type of thing, because like I said, that's my best case scenario. for me as a fan is for that match to happen at Elimination Chamber. So I'm glad I'm not alone in that. Cody finishing his story with Roman at SummerSlam. I don't know. I think Mania would be better. Mania 40, it's a milestone Mania. You know, it's WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 40 does sound a lot better than WrestleMania 39. That's why I think Cody finishing his story there is kind of a theme every 10 WrestleManias or so. You know, Brett did it at WrestleMania 10, and then 20 it was Benoit. Unfortunately, Benoit sabotaged his legacy and a couple of people's lives, so we don't talk about that one, but it was kind of the same idea. And Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30 having his big moment, and it feels like this year is going to be Cody. Cody seems to be the future. If he hasn't officially re-signed that extension or that new contract, I'm sure he will. He will be signed by the time we get to WrestleMania. And I think he's going to be a big part of WWE's future. And I think they need to make him champion. Absolutely. So I don't want to see that disrupted. I really think that's the right way to go for WWE. And ending WrestleMania 40 with the fucking Rock is just, as much as I love Rock, no, nuh-uh. Don't want to see that. You know, I'm fine with The Rock being there, but you got to do it right. And you don't want to, I just feel like all of those worries that I have of them placing Rock right in the middle of everything, and he's going to main event night 2, and he's going to be the focal point of WrestleMania 40, and it's going to be all about him and Roman Reigns, and everybody else is going to take a back seat to that. I just feel like that's more of a Vince thing than a Triple H thing. So this will be a big test. This will give us an idea of, Triple H, how he perceives these big legends and these big matches. Like if he wants to, get the most out of it and put it in Australia and really beef up that show and make Rock, the focal point of that. Or, does he want to make him a part of an already huge and successful WrestleMania that doesn't really need him to be a major success? You already know WrestleMania is going to set all sorts of financial records next year. They do every year. They tout record numbers for every single damn one of these things. Next year will be no different in Philly. And Rock, I think, could be more useful by helping out that Australia show, by making that fucking huge. Think about how many more tickets they would move if Rock was in the main event of that. I don't know how many they've sold now, 30,000 maybe, but they'd sell another 30,000. If The Rock is announced for that. So that's why I think that's the place to do it. Reading some more of these ideas. I'm scared shitless if The Rock wins the Universal Championship. I am too, but let's just remember, this is Triple H, not Vince. And you think of things like Goldberg beating The Fiend. I just really hope that those days are far behind us. And they feel like they are. WWE has a whole new identity now with the people that they're establishing and getting over. And I just can't see Triple H sacrificing any of that for, a movie star. It just doesn't feel like his vibe, but we will find out. Sonic wants Jinder to be world champion again. Okay. I think you're crazy, but I have nothing against you. Okay, Jordan. So Kevin Dunn is officially gone. See, I haven't read up on anything other than just reading that he gave his notice, but I didn't know if his notice was given a while ago and his notice is now over and he's gone, or he's given his notice and he's going to be hanging around a little longer. I don't even know. They got to make Ivy Nile the female Taz. I'm okay with that. She's so short, I say they sign Layla Hirsch and put those two little bulldogs together in a tag team and have them suplex everybody. That would be fun. Yeah, Jordan Smith, good question. That's what I am now wondering. Who is Seth Rollins going to face at the Royal Rumble? We talked about this a week ago before tonight's match, and I said I think it has to be Drew. I said they're in the middle of this thing. Is Seth really going to be able to wrap up his business with McIntyre and then start a whole new match with somebody at the Royal Rumble? Unless the plan is to do Seth Rollins and CM Punk at the Rumble, which could very well happen. But I think most fans are assuming that's going to be a WrestleMania thing. So Rollins, I remember when Punk came back at Survivor Series. When Punk returned at Survivor Series, my first thought was Rollins and Punk at the Rumble. I wasn't thinking Mania. I was thinking Rumble because it just felt like Mania was so far off and they'd have to do a lot in 3 months to feud for that long. Unless, Punk wins the Rumble and then he gets the title shot. But it feels like they've already started the Punk and Rollins storyline on TV like 2 weeks ago on Raw in December. So you got a ways to go. So I kind of thought it was going to be Royal Rumble, but then it started feeling like WrestleMania is the plan. So Rollins could still technically just face Punk at the Rumble, and they don't do the two of those guys at WrestleMania. Maybe there's another match in place. Maybe CM Punk has a completely different opponent at WrestleMania. We don't know. But if it's going to be Punk and Rollins at Mania, that means Rollins is going to have to defend his title against somebody at the Royal Rumble. And I just thought that might be a good place for Drew McIntyre and Rollins to have some sort of stipulation match blow off. But then again, you really open up Rollins vulnerable there to cash in by having, another crazy match that could render him incapacitated and vulnerable to losing his belt. So I don't know if you do one more at the Rumble. I don't know if that's, a good enough match to have on the card since we've already seen it a couple of times. We've seen it on pay-per-view. We've seen it on TV. Doing it one more time at the Royal Rumble felt like it was probably going to be likely, but now I'm not so sure. So one idea I think could be is maybe Sami Zayn, but I think that Sami Zayn is going to be McIntyre's next opponent now because McIntyre was responsible for taking him out. McIntyre even said to the camera tonight after they showed the replay, he got what was coming to him or whatnot. So I feel like Sami and McIntyre are headed for a showdown, but maybe it could be a triple threat. Maybe it could be a situation like that. Maybe Rollins defends his title against Sami Zayn and McIntyre in a three-way or something. I don't know. I don't know what he does at the Royal Rumble, but I'm curious. And next week, CM Punk is advertised for Monday Night Raw, and you would assume that him and Rollins are going to have something to say to each other. So how is that not going to be your Rumble match? How are they going to have an interaction on TV? The next big pay-per-view is the Royal Rumble, and it's not going to be, how are they not going to wrestle? What are they going to do with CM Punk, before? Well, I guess Punk is already declared for the Rumble. I'm sorry. So I think I just answered my own question. I kind of forgot about that. Punk did declare for the Rumble, so maybe he's busy. So then that really makes you wonder what Seth Rollins is going to do at the Royal Rumble, because here I've been blabbing about CM Punk, which I think is not possible. So if it's not going to be McIntyre and it's not going to be Punk, then who, and it's not going to be Cody, because I think Cody's also declared for the Rumble, then who does Rollins face? It might be Sami, or it might be McIntyre again, or it might be R-Truth. I don't know. I put on Twitter today that maybe Punk could win the Rumble, and then Cody would be in the chamber for the other title shot at WrestleMania. And then Punk attacks Cody backstage, takes his place in the chamber, wins the chamber, and wins that title shot too. And then Punk main events night 1 and night 2 and wins both championships, unifies those titles. And then the next night on Raw, loses them in a match to R-Truth. And then when R-Truth is celebrating, Damian Priest comes out and cashes in the briefcase on R-Truth, getting the ultimate revenge for R-Truth infiltrating their clubhouse. I think that's what they should do. So WWE, I'm available. If you want to hire me as a booker, as long as you can pay me more than my current job, I'll do it. I'll do it for you guys, and I'll do it for the fans. That is what a nice guy I am. So I think that's probably going to wrap it up, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about. Happy New Year again, and Merry belated Christmas. Stone Cold, what if Priest does it like Big E and calls his shot and faces Rollins at the Rumble? Maybe. It seems like more of a babyface move, but I feel like Priest is kind of halfway there already anyway in the Judgment Day, and I can see his character, even though he's a heel, he doesn't really come off that chicken shitty. So if any heel could do something like that, I think Priest could be one of them. Gunther too. But calling his shot, I still feel like Priest has made so many attempts. With Big E, when Big E did it, I don't think he was coming out there attempting a bunch of cash-ins before he called his shot. Priest has had a whole bunch of fumbles where he's come out and Sammy stole the briefcase and Ripley took it away from him. And here he got Claymore and knocked the briefcase out of his hand. I think he's had like 4 attempts that he hasn't been able to close the deal on. So I feel like if he called his shot now, that might be a little bit weird. So no, I don't see that happening. Oh, good. Thank you, Juliet. Vinci tweeted out he was fine. Good to hear. That was probably just a situation of getting his bell rung and he just didn't know where he was for a second. And then, just doctors are taking all the precautions. You're live. So, if one of the participants doesn't know what the hell's going on, probably best just to get him back there. And then when they got him back there, he kind of came to and turns out he's fine. Hopefully he does not have a concussion. And sounds like he probably doesn't. That's good. So if he is okay and he's good to go, then we'll probably get that rematch next week. Greg, stop smoking. Sorry, Doug. All my ideas are pretty wild there for Roman and Rock. Okay, thank you, Denny Downbad. WWE Women's and Women's World. Okay, so it's just the Women's World Championship. It's so weird. What's going to happen? By the way, WWE's got some big announcement. What did they tweet out? There might be a TV announcement incoming. I'm not sure. But you have to wonder with championship belts and how they're named, what is AEW going to do if they leave Warner Brothers Discovery? Like, I'm assuming they're going to re-up with them and everything's going to be fine, but things are still kind of up in the air right now. And there's a lot of talk about WWE potentially going over there and doing business with them, even though I still think it's unlikely. It's not out of the question. So what if they were to leave? What would they have to just, I've been complaining about those championships ever since they were created. I said, I don't recommend that. Naming your championship after your TV station that you're on, because things change so rapidly in this world. It's only going to be a matter of time before you're on another network. And then what are you going to do with those championships? You're going to have to rebrand them. And that just messes up your history and your lineage. And how you guys know how I'm a stickler for that kind of thing. So hopefully AEW can just stay put so they don't have to change the titles, at least right now. Right on. Okay, I think I'm to the end of my notes. Happy, Michael Kumo, thank you for being here, man. Good to see you. Happy 80th birthday, Jimmy Hart. Still looks like he's from the 80s. He has not changed much because he's just got that hair and he obviously keeps it black. And he's got the glasses and you can't really tell how much he's aged, but man, he is 80 years old. Is nuts. Is Priest going to cash in on Punk? I think that's possible. I think if they keep dragging this out, because I've been advocating for Priest to successfully cash in. Whenever he does it finally and he doesn't screw it up, he's going to cash in successfully and win the title. I think that's what they should do. He's referenced that he has until July. So he's starting to put, a little bit of a timeline on it. And if they keep dragging this out further and he's not cashing in at the Rumble, because again, Rollins is going to be vulnerable. And hell, so's Roman, right? Can he challenge for that? He can challenge for both, right? I'm not misremembering a rule here. Technically, he could go after Roman. Just none of us are expecting him to because Roman's never around. So that could be another way. All that chatter and stuff we talked about earlier about Randy Orton potentially beating Roman for the title. Maybe it's Priest. Shit, that would be one way to do it. Have Priest come out and cash in, and then it would be Cody and Priest to finish the story. Or no, that would still be Cody and Priest. Nah, never mind. I don't want to see that. I want to see Cody and Roman. But I feel like Priest cashing in at WrestleMania would be pretty awesome. And I think the best place to do that would be in that Seth Rollins and CM Punk match. Cashing in on the winner or making it a triple threat or, pulling what Seth Rollins pulled himself at WrestleMania 31, taking a page right out of his book. And right when you're getting to the climax of the finish of Rollins and Punk, you have Priest's music hit. And this time it's just different. You can tell there's a vibe, there's a look on his face, there's an energy that he's not going to screw this one up. And, he gets in the ring and does what he does and puts down whoever he's going to put down and pins whoever and wins the championship and closes out night one with the title. right after Rollins and Punk just had a hell of a match. I think that would be a great way to end night one. And then on night two, you have Cody beating Roman Reigns. That would be a dream scenario in my mind, because that way, even with Punk and Rollins, that if there's going to be some sort of like an balancing of egos and stuff, one guy has to win that match and one guy has to lose that match. So one guy is going to lose to the other in the main event, unless you have Priest come out and spoil the party, and that way neither guy has to technically job to the other. That's one way to do it, but I still think whenever Punk and Rollins face for the first time, Rollins should beat him. And that's why I don't think Punk should win the title. I think Priest should cash in after Rollins retains. Rollins beats Punk fucking clean, man. Totally bitch-ass clean right in the middle. And then Priest comes out, cashes in, and celebrates to close the show. That's what I would do. So anyway, we have plenty of time to talk more about WrestleMania. There's lots to discuss, lots to unpack, lots to speculate on. That's what I like. One thing I do like about this Rock news is that even though part of it worries me, it's also really cool to kind of wonder, out of all these different scenarios that we kind of pitched around, which one of them it's going to be. So we will see. And we are just a couple of months away from WrestleMania, and it's starting to look very interesting. So right on. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan in 2024. Happy New Year to everyone again. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. We are going to be back possibly midweek. I'm not sure yet. You might have a mic drop or two. I've got some things to work on. We'll definitely be doing the podcast on Saturday, and then this coming Sunday, we will be back. We will be back for a classic Royal Rumble watch along. I just have to figure out which one that's going to be. So anyway, thanks again for being here. If you're not a subscriber, please become one and subscribe to the channel. Click that notifications bell and give that like button a smash on your way out the door. I would appreciate it. Have a good rest of your Monday night and your New Year's night. And good luck getting back into the world and getting back to work and getting on with post-holiday life in January. And I will be catching you guys in just a couple of days. Y'all be good.